Hey, Sven here. Many of our customers ask me how they can set up a simple and fast ticket system that allows them to handle and manage inquiries, complaints, and other issues from their customers. And of course, you could choose one of the dozens or even hundreds of ticket systems available on the market, install it, try it out, or subscribe to it. Or as an alternative, and that's what I want to show you today in this video, you can set the whole thing up using the free version of Trello and a make integration tailored exactly to your needs. It's quick, it's easy, and the coolest thing about it is that you can add features there that might not even exist in a typical ticket system. I'm Sven. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been involved with quality and process optimization for over 33 years, not just in a professional context, but in all areas of life. And much of what I know today, I learned through experience and trial and error. So I know what really works. In my videos, I want to show you how you can use intelligent process automation profitably for yourself and your business. And if you need support with that, then book a call using the link below this video and we can see if we can work together. So let's get started. I've set up a Trello board here, and this also works with the free version. If you have the paid version, you can also use automation in Trello, but it works exactly the same with the free version and the Mac integration. For now, I've simply created 3 columns. The inbox where new tickets come in progress for processing, and then when a ticket is finished. And of course, you can create any columns you like here to map out your individual process. You can also see these colored labels on the cards, for example, here, complaint, general, problem. And what I want is that when such a ticket is created, the label is set correctly right away. How does that work in Trello? You can go to edit labels here, and then you can create as many labels as you want in different colors. And here I've just created these 4: general, problem, complaint, and question. Yes, the whole thing works through the inbox now, but of course you could also have some kind of portal where things come in on your website, however you like. For now, I've set up a support inbox in my email account. I've already sent an email to it with the subject problem with my printer. Since this morning, it hasn't been working anymore. Blank pages are coming out. And now we want to process this email with our scenario. The scenario is quite simple. We read the emails, process them, and then reply to the user after we've created the ticket in Trello. And before we get into the details, I'll just run it once. For that, I need to set the start back to all so that the email I tested earlier will actually work. Then I let this thing run. The mailbox will be read. Then the labels will be analyzed. Then the email will be processed accordingly with ChatGPT. The Trello card will be created and the user will receive an email response. Now we go over to the board and we can already see the card, which has been identified as a problem. Well, with a subject like problem, that's probably not all that unexpected. And what I did here, as you can already see in the card, is that down here we have the original message, which was a German message, and also the original response from ChatGPT. But up here we also have an English version. This was just a little idea I had. Imagine your support team only speaks English because, for example, the people come from different countries. And the tickets come in German or in various other languages. In principle, you could do exactly this. You translate it into a specific target language so that people don't have to translate it themselves and can process it accordingly. And then when finishing up, you could translate everything back into the original language of the employee. So translate the customer who wrote the ticket. So I think ideas like this are really creative when you set up a system like this with these different possibilities. All right, so the card was created here. And now let's take a detailed look at how the whole thing works. The first thing is that we read this support inbox. Yes, with the folder support, which in Gmail are the labels. Then only one email is read per process. And of course, I could also mark it as flagged once I've read it. And now I want to read the labels from the board. Of course, I could also specify them in advance, but it could happen that the number of labels changes. A new one is added. That's why I read them anew each time. And when we select the list labels module here, that is, I simply take this board herium, then I get in the output, I get the labels, which consist of an ID and the text. And the problem is that later, when creating the card, I can't just say set the text complaint label, but I have to use the ID, and that's why I first need to extract it here. Then I aggregate them into an array, yes, so array 1, 2, 3, 4, and only the label and name. And now I pass everything from this email to ChatGPT. I've written a small module here. So you're a supporter, support engineer, and so on. And now you have several tasks here. Namely, you first receive the subject and body of an email. You analyze the email and classify it into one of the categories. Yes, those are the labels we read from Trello. You write a friendly reply in German and add a few ideas to it. Then you translate the subject, body, and your reply, and then respond with all these results. Namely, the category, the body, the subject, the German reply, and the English reply. And down here in the third message, we then pass along all these elements. So first, here are the simple things, subject and body, which simply come from the email. Yes, I just selected them from the email here. And here I've now restructured the array so that the categories are basically passed as a simple list. How does that work? First of all, with map. I want to take a look at the array. Let's just take a look at it. So it consists here of label and name. And for now, I only want the names because I want to pass the names to JGPT. And that's why I use map here in principle. I'm just mapping the name, which is this ID here, into a new array. And then I join this new array into a single text string. So that means the 4 categories will be passed separated by commas so that we can process them accordingly in JGPT. I forgot down here that I still need to set the response format to JSON, JSON object, and that it will also be passed so that we can continue working with it as needed. So, and then all we do is add the card to Trello. Now I have automation demo here. That's the name of the board. The list is inbox. And now we search in the array in the ID field for the name that came out of the analysis from ChatGPT. That means here I now use the entry ID. So if, for example, it was general, then this label ID would be returned by this function. So this way I can set the label accordingly. And then I put the English version of the subject here, I think the German version, and then I just add the rest below. So the body, English bonds, the original text, and the German reply. Well, and then we're already done, and then we send an email to the user, so to the same address, resubject, and then we add a few more details here, including, for example, the short link to the ticket. That means if you were to give your customer access to this board, they could immediately access this ticket with a link, which is definitely desirable in some ticket systems. Yes, so that's basically how the whole thing looks here. So here, all the information is actually included. Yes, and that's basically it. That means we've now created the ticket, but I also want to give you an idea of how things could continue from here. For that, I've opened up a blank scenario. And if you take a look at all the features Trello offers, it goes on for pages. There are dozens of features that Trello provides here. And that's why you're able to automate pretty much anything that's possible with Trello. But what's especially interesting here is watch activities, because that's an instant module. You probably already know instant modules. These are the modules that are triggered via a webhook. That means every activity that takes place in Trello can trigger a new make scenario here. And now I have to create a webhook, and I just give it a name. So now, again, I call this demo pick Trello activity, and then I specify which object I want to monitor, namely a board, a list, or a card. That means I could also monitor a single card here. But here, again, I'll select the board, the automation demo. And now here comes the special part, namely that I can actually choose from all the possible events that can happen here. I can now select what happens, yes, and with which event I will be notified. Now I could just say select all, so that all events trigger this webhook, or I can simply choose only what actually interests me. So for example, in my case now, I would say, what do we have here? Let's look under U, update card, exactly. We'll just select update card. That means when the card is changed, something should happen. Yes. And then I simply say here, yes, move cards is an event that interests me. And now I click on save here, and then this webhook will be created for that. And now I'll just let this scenario run. And now I'll go back to my board. And now imagine this ticket is, now let's keep it simple. We'll say it's about to be completed. That means you just move it over here. If I now go into this scenario, you'll see that it has run. And here in this output, I can see exactly what happened. Yes. So here we don't actually need this. What we really need here is the action data. Card, which card is it? And then, for example, you can specify list before and list after. And now, for instance, you could react to this by saying, when the card is moved into that column, I'll send the customer another email and say, hey, your ticket is completed and everything is fine. So with this watch activities, you're able to automate Trello in every direction and develop a system like the example I just showed you, tailored exactly to your company's needs. I'm curious to see if this inspires you to use such a system instead of buying some ticketing software. I'd be happy if you let me know about it in the comments below. Thank you. Bye. See you next time.